my friends. It's Gord, your Hurtin' Hippie with Weedy Weekend number 78. This one is weedless because my son's staying with me this weekend, and I didn't want to wait until the nighttime to do Weedy Weekend. I wanted to get it out. You guys like to see it on Sunday, so I do find if I put it out earlier, it gets more reads. So I'm here for you. So it's weedless because even though they're out, they'll be coming back, and I don't put any smoke in the house. The only thing I'll do is just a little bit of CBD as a cheers to all of you. And that's it. Now let's move on with Weedy Weekend. This week's news in medical medicine. And the best story. Shout out to Elle and a shout out to Joey and any of you others that watch from Australia. Hooray for Australia. They have finally legalized medical cannabis. And they're working, it seems from this story, they're working on decriminalization of medical marijuana. It's fantastic. I'm going to read a quote from Susan Ley, the Minister of Health in Australia. This is This is a historic day, and historic it should be, for Australia and the many advocates who have fought long and hard to challenge the stigma around medical cannabis products so genuine patients are no longer treated as criminals. She went on, this is the missing piece in a patient's treatment journey. We will now see seamless access to locally produced medicinal cannabis products from farm to pharmacy. That's huge. What their actual laws are and the regulations and everything, I'm sure will get worked out and come forward in the next while. You guys in Australia, I need your input because, of course, I don't have access to everything they're talking about. I was just happy to see it. I know I have a lot of followers who talk to me about how difficult it is to get good medicine in Australia, especially the fact that Australia is a sativa dominant country. Sativa dominant, therefore what you can get on the street is about 95% sativa. If sativa is dominant, Indica is hard to get and expensive. Indica is probably, when it comes to most issues, the better pain reliever, the better medicine. Sativa being the more recreational side, energy, euphoria, get out and do things. But sativa has medicinal properties and huge. I tend to stay away from sativa because of the anxiety issue, but I go for the hybrids because I need that sativa energy. It's a difficult one to one day, as everybody soon has a medical program and we get rid of the illegality, they'll finally get true scientists working on how to develop the medicines that are in this plant in a better way. No, I don't want big pharma in there, and you know it's going to be in there. But there will be benefits coming from that, in that a fibromyalgic will be able to have something that's specifically designed for the disease, not just trying to get the most out of 2 or 3 different plants that help me. That's how I live. So, peace and cheers. And yes, if I was smoking, cheers Australia. Way to go down under there, eh? Just throw another shrimp on the barbie. Sorry about that. Anyways, next story is scientists discover another benefit of marijuana, one that benefits anglers with night fishing. That's a silly story. It's a short story. It just points to scientists finding some argumentative evidence that marijuana cannabis helps the vision. And I certainly, from my own experience, can say it helps the vision. When I have vision problems, my mom had myopic something, I can't, degenerative meiosis. I forget. Something with her eye. My grandfather had it. I think I have it because I'm starting to get a few little things that she used to complain about. But I know when I get those things and I get a little bit of medicine in me, gone. But that's just hearsay. Here they point to some studies of how patients with degenerative eye disease and retinitis pigmentosa can use this to develop better access to visionary so that the eyeball can attach to things it needs to see. It's not a great story. It's not a great story, but it's a story and I brought it to you. The next one is, again, rather, it's from visual.ly. Not too sure who that is, but visually, it's called visually, but it's called the top 9 major benefits of marijuana. It's got a little video that's not too bad, and it just bullet points these 9 things, gives 3 things to back up the 9 things it helps in. Chronic pain, ease in nausea and vomiting, helped increase appetite, reducing anxiety, stopping growth of cancer cells, treats infections, relieves PTSD, reduces muscle spasms, and reduces blood sugar levels. There's 9. There are more. These things, I share them even though they're very kind of 101-ish, very beginner-ish, because I have a lot of people who follow me that are beginners, that don't understand this, and they want these kind of stories. So they'll always come to you. I just won't go in depth in them because they're not in depth. I go in depth, I therefore obfuscate the situation. I make it too technical when people are learning at a low level. When you're learning at a low level, keep all the details away and then start researching the details. I hope this helps some of you. Again, no tokes to it, no cheers to it, except to say cheers to it. The next story is all about CBD. See, the only thing I don't like, it came from herb.co, but this is why you need CBD in your life. What I don't like about it, it is a fair story. I do suggest you read some of it, but keep in mind, this is an advertisement. This is what you need, and we supply it because it goes on to show you CBD Luxe, Luxe, sublingual spray, and I think that's all. Yeah, it's some kind of sprays so that you get it into your blood system like a tincture. I tend to shy away from these kind of things. First of all, I'd rather people not buy CBD off the street. The legal CBD that's made from hemp oil has to have at least at the most 0.3 THC. So it's basically not there. CBD does not work as well as it can when THC is not present. I've said that so many times. But in saying that, 3 days ago, I started my first of a CBD regimen, Pura Vida CBD 10 milligram pills. I've been taking 2 a day for 3 days now, and I might raise to 3. I have found my anxiety much less. I've found my brain much more focused. I have found some oddities with it, and I'll speak more about it later. But CBD is wonderful. But when I feel odd with the CBD, like my son's here now, so I'm not smoking anything in the daytime, in the morning. I may go outside later in the afternoon and have a little bit. But because of that, all I've gotten me is the CBD, and it bothers me a bit just having the CBD. But as soon as I have a little THC on top of it, that little bit, it's almost, I called it anxiety about not having anxiety. You get anxious about the fact that I've been anxious every single day for weeks and months, and now my anxiety is almost not there. Shouldn't I feel it? What's wrong? So I hope that that goes away. Any of you that started a CBD regimen that's been on it longer than me may be able to say, hey, that does wear off. And I hope it does. So peace and cheers, love and harmony. Let's move on, because as I say, whenever you see one of these, it's selling something. So read what you can out of it, but don't fall for their product. Get it locally. Find a place that's going to produce it with THC, even if it's a 10-to-1 or a 20-to-1, get that one. Next story comes from Leafly, and I like it. It's Can Cannabis Cure Cancer? And I like that for once here's a story that does not go into how do you put it? False stories of cures. A cure, let me put this. What is a cancer cure? Cure is a huge word in oncology. It usually implies that the patient has survived 5 years without evidence of their cancer. We are able to cure more cancers today than we were when I began my career as an oncologist. That has been through advances in diagnosis and treatment with conventional therapies. After 33 years of being an oncologist in San Francisco, another person, Dr. Abram, I would guess that a large proportion of the patients I have treated have used cannabis. If cannabis definitively cured cancer, I would have expected that I would have a lot more survivors. That being said, we do know that cannabis is a truly amazing medicine for many cancer and treatment-related side effects: nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite, pain, depression, anxiety, insomnia. Yes. What this story tends to try to do, I'm going to stop there. What this story is trying to do is back away from THC cures cancer to say it assists in the curing of cancer. I don't think we can say it doesn't cure cancer. I think we can say it sometimes assists in the curing of some people's cancers. I know so many people who say all they used was cannabis, and they are 5 years. But this one guy said, I would think that more of my patients would survive if it was a cure. That's just opinion. We need studies, and we need to find out we need huge studies to find out those people who were cured, even if it's a small percentage, why were they? What is it of the THC? And I can tell you, the preliminary studies, the studies that are out there but slightly debunked by the government because they're not blind, is that THC can kill cancer cells, as well as a high THC body. Cancer cells don't seem to be able to produce, to grow, or even survive. So this story tends to say, no, it's not the cure. I tend to say, I still think it's the cure. We just haven't found exactly how to use it on every person yet. Some are so affected by it that it cures it for them. We need to find out why. Why does it work for them? And maybe a few others it doesn't. And we may find that it needs to have a proper mix, that with some traditional, conventional treatments. I hate chemotherapy, but anything that works and saves a life, I'm for. But if we can do it naturally, even better, even better, even better. Let us move on. The next story, I promised I'd bring it to you because the last time I barely covered the election last week, and somebody got upset saying that's the only thing you could bring out of the election. Is I did a coffee break session saying Trump this, in which I was somewhat in favor of Trump winning. I knew he would, but I'm not in favor of either. But that person who pointed out, why are you talking about Trump? we are a weed family. Let's talk about weed in the election. And I said, I'm sorry. I didn't know enough about it, and I still don't. So I'm bringing you a story from the Washington Post that does break down, I'm not going to share every piece of it, but does break down how medicinal and recreational cannabis fared in the election. It had some losses, it had some wins, and you guys can determine whether you like or dislike what it does. I watch this, but I don't get really in depth as to how the laws, because like somebody told me in California that although they legalize, the regulations have gotten huge to the point that people growing their own has become almost impossible. So benefits and negatives, that's up to you guys to decide how it affects you locally. I'm just happy to see that we're now over 50% of all of the US either has some kind of medicinal or recreational program. That's huge, as Canada is only months away from becoming fully legalized. So I give you the story, you guys look into it, see what you want out of it, take what you want out of it, ignore what you don't. That way I'm not going to make some judgments that I'm just not educated enough to make. And I don't want to educate myself that much because it affects me so little. Yes, it affects you. I'll still bring you the stories. I just won't be an expert on them. How's that? I hope that works. 16 minutes in, I got 2 left. Not bad. This goes fairly fast when I'm not token with you. This one from Business Insider is legal marijuana may have several health benefits. It's only a 2-minute video, and it's a fairly okay video. This was Business Insider's response to the election. I didn't find it worthwhile to spend much time on. You may not even find it worthwhile to watch, but some of you might. So it's here. Yes, legal marijuana has several health benefits. Taking the legality, I'll say this part, making it legal improves people's health, because people are going to use the cannabis anyway for their health, but then they get anxious and paranoid, and that hurts their depression and other things that the plant is working on. Make it legal. You take that stigma. If we got rid of the stigma, we would lower the use by medicinal people of cannabis because we wouldn't need as much. That's my rant. And now, the final 3 weeks in a row now, I've brought you Leafly's 101. I have brought you how to visually tell if you're buying good product. Then last week, I can't remember what last week was. And then now this week is, what is the difference between Indica, Sativa, and what's a hybrid? It's a pretty good breakdown. It's very in-depth for a 101. I think a lot of you will really enjoy this. The important thing is learning something that I said for the longest time. These plants are indigenous to certain areas of latitude. Sativa's very indigenous to 0 to 30 degrees latitude, where Indica 30 to 50 degrees in the colder areas. Reason being is they treat different things. People have a lot more issues with pain in colder areas than they do in the warmer areas. In the warmer areas, they need a lot more energy, Sativa. They need things to keep them going. Days are longer, days are hotter. Where here, we may get the rest we need. We may not need the energy that we need, that Sativa gives, but we sure need pain relief. So they've come from different areas and slowly grew throughout the world. They still grow best in those areas. It's a good way to learn about the differences, why those differences exist, and how you can apply those differences to your own medicinal program. I do at times buy sativas like Chocolope. If Chocolope's on sale, I'll buy it because I find it very, very, very good for those days that I wake up and I'm really not energetic, but I have things to do. I just don't do sativas because I sit around most of the day. I'm sedentary. I have a sedentary life. Sativas are not for sedentary people. They're for people who are active and moving all the time, but in pain. I'm not moving all the time, but in pain. So I need my indicas. Today's a classic example of a strong requirement. Yes, I took the CBDs so my inflammation isn't so high. It has seemed to have gotten rid of my constipation for all week long. Been a bad week. Now I'm doing better. Things are moving. But I haven't had any THC to help the CBD along or to help with my pain. The two need to be together. People need to understand that. If I had some THC right now, it would not bother Pasha, who won't be home for another hour or so from his going out for lunch with his brother. This is a special treat for him. But I'm not going to do it because I don't want to upset anybody. I just want to do the best I can for all of you and for myself. We are at the end of Weedy Weekend number 78. Only 2 weekends missed out of 78. So almost 78 in a row. Missed 2 weekends. Not bad. I hope you enjoy Weedy Weekend. I hope you come back next week. I hope you share. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. Let me know how you feel. Let me know if you like my news, because I like bringing it to you. It's the highlight of my Sunday. Peace and cheers. Love and harmony.